right. Well, we're back. Let's do the thing properly. There you go.
From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.
Well, I have no idea what's going out, so I'll just have to take the chance. I have two young girls chatting outside the window without a care in the world. Don't go into television. You'll have ulcer on ulcer on ulcer. And all that will happen is people will blame you. Yeah. Take the scorn of everybody. It's a good job I don't care. Never mind. Never mind. If there is no sound, somebody will be on in no time flat. I can tell you that. Now, I'm going to the thing about having Parkinson's, or for that matter, any disease, I suppose, is people don't appreciate how much longer it takes you to do things than other people. They really don't. They expect you still to behave like sprinters, whereas in fact, you really are behaving more like the long-distance runner. It was a magnificent film, by the way, starring Tom Courtenay. You don't see it too often. The loneliness of the long-distance runner. It's he's a wayward lad, and he cops a snook at the establishment by training as a long-distance runner, and then in the race stopping short of the winning line. Oh dear. What a wonderful way to get your own back. Anyway, here I am eventually having resolved a sound issue, I think, much as I'm incapable of doing these things, but I think that I have. So I'm feeling quite good about my dexterity this morning. How many of you out there are sitting saying, yeah, that's me too. I wouldn't know how to fix it. You have no idea that there's only one greater feeling of helplessness, and that's when you fall over from Parkinson's and you lie on the floor and you can't bloody well get up. It's the worst feeling in the world. You flop around like this. Sorry, Ada, I'm not well. You just flop around. Woo, 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 woo. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. You just have to lie there until help comes. One of the medics told me of a case where there was a lady who fell down in the bath and was there for 5 days. And the only way that she was saved was because the steam from the bath set off the fire alarm. And on the 5th day, when the fire alarm went off, one of her neighbors thought, hello, that's a bit odd. That's been doing that every day for the last 5 days. And they went and they saved her. Amazing the stories you hear, particularly when you've just been lying there supine. Goodness gracious me. And here I am training for the Olympics as well. Ah, well. That's the way things are. The weather, 13 degrees today. Oh, and it's going to be 14 degrees tomorrow. But today it started off relatively warm, 8 degrees. Although being on the scooter, you wouldn't have believed it. Tomorrow it's going to be very cool. It's going to be 3 degrees as a start. So my little hands are going to get very cold tomorrow. Saturday, it's only going to reach 12 degrees. Yeah, only. Start off at 3 degrees again with a bit of sunshine. And the same on Sunday. So a grey weekend ahead. But not so much rain on Sunday. No, not so much. And how about today? The sun breaking through all day, right up until lunchtime, when the sun will break through. And then in the afternoon, down to 11 degrees, 10 degrees, 10 degrees, 9 degrees. But the sun will break through. Well, what a lovely, lovely weather forecast we have. Of course, they make it all up to make us feel good. No truth in it at all. It'll deluge in a minute, as indeed it Dubai. It did in Dubai. Have you ever been to Dubai? Well, the fact of the matter is, it's a lovely airport in Dubai, by the way. It's very nice, palm trees in it and all sorts of things. But they don't have any rain. Day in, day out, the sun beating down. They've got desalination plants to give them fresh water, all sorts of things. Very interesting. Very interesting. And they don't have rain. And yesterday, they had enough to last them the whole winter. They were swamped. They were drowned. They were drenched. Ooh, dear. Better get around to the news, hadn't we? Well, that's one of the newses. Let's have a look. The newspaper headline: hopes of a rate cut suffer a blow, and Dubai deluged. The Times: hopes of rate cuts suffer blow. A variety of stories lead the papers. The Times says any hopes that the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, had of a significant cut in interest rates before the election has suffered a blow after data showed inflation falling more slowly than expected. Or at least it's still falling. It's not in the States, it's going up. Figures released on Wednesday showed inflation last month reached 3.2%, its lowest level since September 2021, but still higher than many analysts had expected. One senior figure is quoted as saying the Tories' strategy for the election is to instill a genuine economic feel-good factor, but that for it to work, people need to feel it. Yeah, too damn true. You're absolutely right. I personally found this government has played fast and loose with the economy. I haven't really cared much about anything. Oh, look. I don't know whether you can see it. No, you can't. No, she's just out of sight. There was a nice lady with a lollipop thing. Oh, there you can see the school children in the distance. Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful school children. Off they go to school, being ushered by a nice lollipop lady. Oh, dear. Somebody's going to phone in a minute and say, you're not supposed to call them a lollipop lady anymore. Don't care. The English language is a vital and alive entity. And I've been speaking it for 84 years. No, I haven't. Only 83 years. I didn't start talking until I was 1. You believe that? You believe anything? I believe in the richness of this language. And if anybody wants to ascribe any deep, dark meaning to me, do it, because I don't care. The sanctity and the sacredness of the English language is far more important to any of these silly woke ideas. It just shows their ignorance, that's all. And it also shows that they have no sense of beauty, because the English language can be a beautiful language. It can be an ugly one too, but it can be a beautiful language. And that is the most important thing. To hell with them tinkering around the edges. Just silly. Absolutely silly.
You want a fresh coffee?
Oh, thank you, Ada. How's the family this morning?
They're good.
That's good. Okay. Ada can safely leave the building now because she knows her family are okay this morning. Nice family. Nice family. Wait a minute, where are we off to? Oh, the newspapers, right. The Financial Times. IMF debt warning raises doubts over Sunak's bid to axe national insurance. Oh, goodness gracious me, another sacred cow is gone. The Financial Times says a warning about the national debt has raised doubts over whether the government will be able to deliver further cuts to national insurance. The paper says the International Monetary Fund, they quite often get things wrong, on Wednesday listed the UK as one of 4 large economies that critically need to take action to address imbalances between their spending and revenues. It says Mr. Sunak has insisted further cuts to national insurance will only go ahead if they are affordable. He's a strange man, this. Really a strange man. Well, there's a banner in the Daily Express which says in the Champions League, Bayern Munich 1, Arsenal 0. Manchester City 1, Real Madrid 1. So we didn't do too well in Europe. But the Daily Express, Lords defy will of the people over Rwanda bill again. They're sending not tomorrow, but they're setting their death knell. And the last thing I want to see is an elected House of Lords. God help us. Oh, no. Haven't we? Oh, thank you, darling.
You're welcome.
Haven't we learned enough about elected bodies? Totally out of touch with absolutely everything. Are we going to see a dictatorship? God forbid. Our elected representatives are pushing us in that direction. We're going through a very, very bad time when it comes to our leadership. There's got to be somebody somewhere lurking in the weeds to restore faith in our elected representatives. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about Westminster or whether you're talking about, well, I was going to say Southover, but no more. Eastbourne. Yeah, Eastbourne. Okay, bye, darling. Ada has left the building. God bless her. I dropped everything this morning all over the place. God only knows. God only knows what I was up to. It's just one of those mornings. Just one of those mornings. I couldn't keep anything on the table, on the chair. I couldn't even keep my bum on the chair. It slipped off a couple of times. But look at the weather outside. Can you see that? It's very pleasant out there. People enjoying themselves, walking along, going to work, going to school, going to do whatever it is that they do, shopping, I suppose. What was I saying? Oh, yes, about the House of Lords and governors. Generally speaking, very, very poor. Very poor. And a lot waiting to come in, and no better. No better. Politics has become a profession. And it's like a mechanic. You get good ones and you get bad ones. And right now we've got bad ones. And it's mainly because of greed, ambition, all the things that we're taught as youngsters to avoid because it won't make us a very nice person. The thing is, this lot have learned to do it with a smile on their face. It's time that somebody took them down a peg or two. I just wish Mirador was big enough. The will is there. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Right. A vote in the House of Lords that saw the government's Rwanda asylum policy blocked for a fourth time leads the Daily Express. The paper says Labour, Liberal Democrat and crossbench peers wanted further amendments to the plans, but that ministers refused to concede ground. It says the Lords stand accused of being more interested in halting migrant flights than in stopping channel crossings. Hear, hear. I think that that's the way that we all should start to think. And we all, well, people in the House of Lords, appointed people, have that look of arrogance about them. They have that look of, I am better than you. Well, they're not. And in some instances, they're there because they were lollipop people. Nothing wrong with lollipop people, except that they must not, once they gain the status of Lord, look down on their fellow man. And most of them do. Most of them do. One wouldn't say 100%, because it's not 100%. But it's in the 90s. And that's what we've got to stop. That look of arrogance. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Daily Mail. Tories trail Labour on defence, tax, migration, even Brexit. But exclusive poll for the Mail finds 45% still don't want a Starmer government. Surprise, surprise. But you see, it's the system. What they've done, all politicians, doesn't matter which party, is they've instituted a system that will protect them from being dumped out of office. They don't care which side of the house that they sit, as long as they're actually still in the House of Commons. There is a wonderful movie, and I've forgotten, Brewster's Millions, it's called, Brewster's Millions, in which a guy is left. So let's say 20 million for the sake of argument. But he must spend it all in a certain time frame if he is to inherit billions. And so it charts his progress in trying to get rid of all this money. Not as easy as you might think. But anyway, he goes into politics and takes on the establishment. And his slogan is, none of the above. Well, that's what I think that we should do, is find a party that is willing to coin that slogan, none of the above. None of the above. I'm sure that one or two who will be trapped in the net are rather nice. One or two are probably competent. But you have to sacrifice them for the good of the country by getting rid of the rest. Getting rid of the rest is the only way that we're actually going to get back onto square one. The Daily Mail reports that a poll has found the Conservatives currently trail Labour in public opinion on every major political issue. The paper says Labour maintains a lead not only on issues like the NHS, but also on traditional Tory policy areas, including defence, tax, immigration, and even Brexit. It says the result should act as a major wake-up call to Rishi Sunak. No, it won't. He's got his own ideas of what conservatism should be all about and what this country should be about. And he's followed it. And we've had so many ahead, Liz Truss, etc., that nobody dare say nay. Nobody dare tell him, pack your bags. We've had enough of packing of bags of prime ministers, from Theresa May on downwards, via Boris, via Liz Truss, you name it. We've had it. And the only people waiting in the wings are the people that are already elected, and there's not one of them that I would give tuppence for. Huh. But let's just look at it. How can people be so naive as to think they can trust Labour with defence? God almighty, most of them are at the forefront of peace marches. Immigration, they'll say, well, what we do is we stop certain immigrants, but we've got to let some others in because they're rather nice people and they're ordinary people. And not only that, they'll vote for us. Yes. And even Brexit. Well, trust Labour with Brexit. You know, people who understand and know say that the reason that Brexit is in trouble is because the Tories failed to act. They got the mandate, but they failed to act. And until somebody acts, Brexit will not work. And I don't care whether you originally supported Brexit or not. It's too late to go back. We've got to make a fist of it. Do you know, I'm beginning to think that we need a new political party. Because this lot, both sides of the house and the ones in the middle, can't deliver. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The Guardian. Brexit blamed as the UK drug shortages put lives at risk. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. They really do carry on, don't they? A report by health think tank the Nuffield Trust has said drug shortages have become the new normal and are being exacerbated by Brexit. The paper says the medicines affected include those used to treat epilepsy, type 2 diabetes, and ADHD, and that pharmacy bosses have warned the shortages are endangering the lives of those with the most serious illnesses. Notice I don't mention Parkinson's. Mark Diane, the lead author of the report, tells the paper the rise in shortages of vital medicines from rare to commonplace has been a shocking development that few would have expected a decade ago. The Daily Telegraph. Rayner, that's Angela Rayner, by the way, faces new homes tax questions. Oh dear. They're not letting go on this one. No smoke without fire, as they say. Deputy Labour leader Angela Rayner is facing new questions about her financial affairs. According to the Daily Telegraph, Ms. Rayner has previously been accused of giving false information about her main residence and faced questions about whether she should have paid capital gains tax when she sold a former council house in 2015. She has said she is completely confident she has followed the rules at all times and pledged to step down if she is found to have broken the law. The Telegraph reports that if what Mr. Rayner has said is correct, and the home sold in 2015 was her main residence, then her husband, Mark Rayner, should have paid capital gains on a property he sold the following year. Oh dear. So look, it's funny, there's a great congregation of people outside the pub, whereas we can only see two there. See people going to work and to play quite normally. Quite normally. Right. The Eye. Israel will defy a plea for restraint and strike Iran, Cameron reveals. Biden may seek to revive Iran nuclear deal, the Eye learns. The Eye says US President Joe Biden may seek to revive the Iran nuclear deal in order to avoid a further escalation of the conflict in the Middle East. The deal, under which Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities in return for the lifting of sanctions, was agreed in 2015, but later scrapped by Biden's predecessor, Donald Trump. An administration source tells the paper the president is doing everything he can to avert a war. Well, that won't last very long. If it looks as if, very much as if, the trial of Donald Trump is not doing anything to dampen enthusiasm for him. I think the bookmakers have still got him to be the next president of the United States, returning to office, which is rather silly that he actually created, in a fit of rage, in a temper, the reasons for him being thrown into court. It's going to be very interesting, isn't it? Keir Starmer opposite to Donald Trump. One thing we know about Trump is that he doesn't pay any attention to anybody at all, except himself. There's no suggestion, and he's even got advisors. He just does what comes into his mind. And that's very dangerous in anybody, let alone a president. We are in for an interesting ride, to say the least. The first time round, nobody knew quite what he was going to do. Now we've got a pretty fair idea. A pretty fair idea. The Eye says Joe Biden may seek to revive the Iran nuclear deal in order to avoid a further escalation of the conflict in the Middle East, but the deal, under which Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities in return for the lifting of sanctions, was agreed in 2015, but later scrapped by Biden's predecessor, Donald Trump. An administration source tells the paper the president is doing everything he can to avert a war. Oh, ho, ho. Metro. Deluge in Dubai. Here we got around to it. Rain, rain, go away. There's required reading at university is the novel Rain. Actually, it's a short story, I think. It's just called Rain. Can't remember who it's by now. But it's rather a naughty story about a hooker and a priest. And there we go. Why did I remember that? When it's rain in Dubai. An elderly man has died and thousands of British travellers have been stranded in Dubai after the heaviest rainfall in the city for 75 years. The front page includes a photo showing hundreds of cars backed up on a highway that has been completely submerged by water. Ooh, dear. Uh-huh. The Mirror. Shannon kidnapper dead. What's that all about? Exclusive. Fiend was still trying to shift blame in his final years. The headline is shameless to the very end. The Mirror leads to the death of Michael Donovan, the man behind a fake kidnap plot involving West Yorkshire girl Shannon Matthews. Donovan and Shannon's mother, Karen Matthews, staged the 9-year-old's disappearance in February 2008 in a scheme to claim a £50,000 reward. The paper says Donovan died of cancer at age 56. Not very old. The Sun. Royal files his new country. I see what she means. It's royal. Talking about Harry. American Idol Harry, it says. Now he's cut all ties with Britain. Prince Harry has officially registered himself as a US resident, according to The Sun. The paper says the prince called the US his new country in records filed at Company's House, and that the move suggests he has cut all ties with Britain. Now, he's going to be a sorry boy, because I believe the Americans will not permit dual citizenship. So he's going to be a citizen of America. He has to renounce all other ties. The only saving grace is, once born a Brit, you can't stop being a Brit. And so he will be able to maintain ties with the United Kingdom. Very convenient, isn't it? The Daily Star. Escaped big cats do walk among us, and if you see one, don't run. What's going on there? And the Daily Star reports that Ben Mee, whose story of buying Dartmoor Zoo because the basis for a film starring Matt Damon, has claimed that escaped cats, including pumas, are roaming the UK. Big cats do walk among us, reads the headline. Yeah. Let me surface for a moment or two. It's 8:46. And as you can see, the world is still there outside. People waiting to cross the road. Traffic going up and down. The ancient monument site, the ancient site of a windmill across the road, still in one piece. Well. Would you know it? Would you know it? You know something? I think I'm going to play this just to remind you where we are.
From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.
Oh, we are back again. I haven't pulled everything down this time. Now, it is a bit cool this morning. I should warn you, it's a bit cool. So when you go out, don't think that this sun is going to keep you warm. I don't think it will. Although you can never tell sometimes when you're inside. It's cool and outside it's warm. There's no telling whatsoever. Just since I've had a go at the federal government this morning, why not? It's sort of fun being able to publicly punch governance people in the nose. They deserve it. Instead of sort of saying, oh, no, yes, we made a mistake, they never do. They always find a reason as to why they did the right thing, even though it means us all losing our money or being sent to Outer Rwanda or whatever. They always do the right thing. Now, locally, I have a question of our local politicians. They insist upon using the internet when they want to give us information about what they're doing. I was going to say down in Southaver, not a bit of it. Out in Eastbourne, and the sooner that ends, the better. What a complete and utter disaster that was, and is. But anyway, they always say, read our website. The fact that their own statistics show there are still more people who are not computer literate, or when I say that, are not exposed to computers and the use of computers the way they're used now. Not until 1997 did we actually get stuff going. No, not until 1997. So you figure it out. They can't because they're not. What's the word? Equivalent of literate, numerate. They're not numerate, obviously. But when it comes to electioneering, and they stuff stuff through your black mailbox, it's always in black and white or color, but certainly on paper. On paper, not on computers. We don't trust people to see stuff that's on computers. But we do when it comes to letting them know particularly bad news. Oh, dear, dear, dear. They speak with forked tongue. Yes, they do. For this, we persuade you that this is absolutely right. For that, we persuade you that's always right. It still doesn't change the fact that we have the cabinet system here, which means that the leader of the party who gets into power with the most seats can pick who governs the district. And they do. We had James McCleary in, a Lib Dem, who reluctantly admitted that he's not really in the corridors of power anymore because the Greens have total control. The Greens and Labour. Oh, what a combination. Oh, dear, dear, dear. And already there is huge dissatisfaction being expressed amongst a good many citizens about the way that this district, and particularly the town, is run. As for the town itself, those things that are looked after by the town hall, that's a complete and utter disaster. Nobody hears from anybody. We are in complete and utter chaos. From the chimes of Big Ben to the tinkle of the shop bell down on the high street. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What a mess. And we've got another 2 years to put up with it. Oh, actually, they won't talk to us. no matter how many times we are beneath their dignity. Well, if that's the case, be it on your heads. We don't mind. We get on with what we do. And more people are joining us. And we're getting more and more influence. Lucas Parks, who is a leading sci-fi writer in the 1950s, wrote a book, The Kraken Wakes. The Kraken is a fictitious monster in the deep. Well, Mirador is the Kraken. The Kraken is waking and ready to wreak havoc, mainly because those people that are where they are because of the ballot box are incapable of handling things themselves. Do you know, we are actually next month going to vote for a police commissioner. It actually crossed my mind, should I actually run for that? Nah, who wants to get into the cesspit of politics? One thing on Mirador is you may not like it sometimes, but we do tell the truth. Oh, we're straightforward, as much as anybody can tell the truth. And I wouldn't want to abandon that for all the tea in China. But you know, getting involved in politics right now is a death wish. You couldn't help but have your reputation besmirched. I'd make quite a good police commissioner, actually. I spent 3 years in Canada working what they call the cop shop. In other words, reporting on crime, talking to prosecutors, defense counsel. I got to know several judges, would spend leisure time with them. I got to know and do a program called Police 6 in Northern Ireland. Yeah. If you want to talk about sticking your head above the parapet. My goodness me. My goodness me, indeed. I got to know the police in Kosovo, in Moscow. I got to know them elsewhere as well. If only I had time to think and list. I've had a fair amount of experience. That wouldn't count for anything. I'm not a politician. Thank God I'm not a politician. I'd be sitting here writhing, thinking, oh, how awful I am. No, I wouldn't, because they don't. They make every excuse in the book to look like the good guy. Yes, good guy. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. How can you actually misinterpret what you are as much as politicians do? I better see whether I'm still there. So, oh yes, I am. There I am. Oh dear. And what's the time? Oh, it's 8:59. It's just coming up to 9 o'clock. Well, I'll say, how strange it is. And we got John Henty this morning at around about 10 o'clock. He's always good value for money. Dear old John. And for those people who didn't see him, and you can find him on YouTube, I'm absolutely sure, is John was interviewed for the 50th anniversary of ABBA winning the European Song Contest in Brighton, and he made a very good fist of it too, I may say so, as he does on our program here, Plenty of Henty. If you haven't caught him, you should. But that's another hour away yet. We have other things to do, and I hope that we'll do them for you. We've had good fun ranting this morning, having a real go at them, because they deserve a real go being made. Yes, indeed, they do. And one thing that I would say, despite the very best efforts of some of these protest groups, the do-good groups, the woke groups, we still have the ability to speak our mind without being locked up, I think. I'm keeping my eyes and ears open, see if there's any copper going to march in and arrest me. So far, no. So far, liberty, particularly in this particular town, after Tom Paine fought so hard for it, liberty is terribly important. We all sound like Tom Paine from time to time, or at least those of us who care. We live up to his standard of independence. Apparently, he wasn't a very likable man. And then that's me. Not likable at all. Not at all likable. Now, I'm going to see if Mr. Philip is out of bed. And will join me for 15 minutes or so. We'll see. Oh dear, I pressed the wrong thing. Let's see. There we go. Just on the off chance, Mr. Meredith, who knows? We have our friends and family and our colleagues lurking around each morning, whether they're supposed to be on or not. And unlike the major television channels, we don't necessarily run to any sort of conformity. And so it's always worth saying, are you there? Are you there, Mr. Meredith? Or are you there, Dr. Maybe? Or are you there, Miss Conti? That's in New York. She'll still be fast asleep, I would imagine. She'll be on tomorrow, as will Dr. Maybe, Mark Maybe, who is heading up a marvelous thing that will bring the Spur, that is a section of a university, to Lewes, and quite quickly. No hanging around. In fact, by the end of this year, we hope that it'll be up and running and give the opportunity the chance to people who are more adept at practical things than academia is that wretch Tony Blair managed to do away with his apprenticeships when he took over in 1997. And everybody had to go to the university. We even had earlier, late last year, suggestion that every copper should have a degree. Can you believe it? Every copper has a degree. Where do they live, these people? Where do they live? Where do they come from? How do they think? Goodness gracious me. It's a nonsense. It's a nuisance. But anyway, shall we? Let's look at. Look at a little bit more depth. Right, the Times says it pours cold water on the government's economic plans. The paper says yesterday's smaller than expected drop in the rate of inflation crushed the Treasury's hopes for a significant cut to interest rates before the election. The paper says ministers had been banking on as many as 3 cuts before voters go to the polls. But the markets are no longer expecting the first reduction before November. Wow. Cantona. I'll say this. The Times should be careful that it makes sure we know that it's quoting. Because anybody who forecasts economic data has got to be the bravest person in the world. The bravest person. The FT, which is the paper of note, if you speak to Stuart Dolby, most certainly it would be. It says there's a question mark over Rishi Sunak's cuts to government to take much tougher action to rein in public debt. The paper says the warning casts doubts on Mr. Sunak's bid to scrap the tax entirely in future. So they are not very good economic news. But one wonders if it will be sacred. Suddenly, we can find we wake up to the headlines of big rate cuts or whatever. I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying we could, because economic news is volatile and is unpredictable. It could be the other way around, that inflation has got a grip again. It's got a grip on me. I don't think that I'm going to get much out of it. That's for sure. Oh, dear. Well, here we go. Here we go again with the economy. What else is in there? Let's see. Now, here's a photograph from Reuters of some penne, of some bacon, which is one of the favorite ways of having it. Is an Italian professor has claimed his country owes much of its culinary heritage, including dishes like pasta carbonara, to influences from overseas. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You get something from overseas. I mean, I love chop suey, real chop suey, the sort that's swimming in juices. That's the way the Chinese make it. We don't make it over here the same way, which is a pity because it is really, really delicious. But nonetheless, my taste comes from overseas, but it's domestic. If I say to my neighbor, "Oi, Joe, would you like some chop suey?" and offer him that, that's what he'll get. He won't get the rather tasteless, dry stuff that the Chinese here have managed to fob off on us. It's not a bit like the North American stuff. Chinese food in North America is 10 times better than here. 10 times better. So there. Actually, you can't find, in North America, you can find Chinese restaurants open 24 hours a day. Here, you can't find them open until 7 o'clock at night. Mind you, I don't know if that's true of the cities, but of the small towns it is. We had, at one time, about 4 or 5 first-class Chinese restaurants. Now we have 1, which is pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's not. It's not the stuff that you can get if you go elsewhere. It's small town stuff. Actually, we are a small town. Don't pretend that we've got any sophistication at all. Anybody who is sophisticated, who goes up to the city each day, hides in the evening. You never see them out. I don't know why they bother to live here, to be quite honest with you. I suppose it's because they can leave their wife and children here during the daytime. Oh, here's a bit more. And an Italian professor has dared to challenge his country's proud culinary heritage by claiming that pizza owes more to the Americans than previously thought. The Times reports in his new book, Alberto Grandi, a food historian at the University of Parma, saying many of Italy's most famous dishes rely on influences from overseas. The best pizzas may be served in Napoli, but they're made with canned tomatoes, originally developed in the United States. Mr. Grandi tells the paper that his ideas aren't always well received, with one Roman journalist once threatening to punch him when he explained his theory on the origins of spaghetti carbonara. I like penne carbonara. It damn near burns your roof of your mouth off. Oh, it's very good. Very good indeed. I'm glad that they got a little food item in there this morning. Yeah, I don't think that the Times has come yet. No. Well, this is one that was a bit worrying. The Guardian leads on the findings of a report into drug shortages affecting pharmacies and hospitals across the UK. Well, I'll tell you, I have to take 9 different bloody pills every morning, and it gets me down. And if anything gets me down. And I have to say that I am not at all sympathetic to shortages of pills, but I am sympathetic to shortages of pills. I'm not sympathetic to being denied them, because 9 pills makes me feel awful. I think a gin and tonic would do me better than some of the pills that I'm prescribed. I think they use me as a guinea pig. Right. It says the findings of a report into drug shortages affecting pharmacies and hospitals across the UK is by health and think tank Nuffield Trust. Says Brexit is partly to blame for the problems. Well, wouldn't you know it? everything is Brexit. If you'd have got behind Brexit, Nuffield Trust, we wouldn't be sitting here blaming Brexit for things. But no, you've got to bring politics into here, haven't you? Yes, you have. That's the last time I trust the Nuffield Trust. Take the word trust out. It's a misnomer. It shouldn't be there. I do not trust Nuffield. Actually, I went to a Nuffield hospital, many years ago now. In fact, it was exactly 24 years ago. The one near to Brighton. And they took my coat off and so on and so forth. And I got into bed. And this was early in the morning because I was told to report early in the morning. And the nurse came around. She's a charming nurse. And she said, she said, now I've got some important things to ask you. And she gave me a wine list and said, which wine do you want with your meal? Oh, wonderful, wonderful. The other thing was that the anaesthetist, when I was in the theatre, it was what they call a local anaesthetic, I think. I mean, in other words, I didn't pass out totally. I just felt relaxed and so on while they churned around with me. And she held my hand the whole of the time. And I thought, oh, this is wonderful. Offered wine with my meal. A nurse or a doctor, whichever she was, holding my hand. I'm in seventh heaven. And then at the end, she said, thank you. She said, this is my first time in the theatre. I needed the reassurance. Dear. There we go. Oh, dear. I have had some funny experiences. Of course, I've had some pretty dreadful ones. Well, not dreadful ones. I've been chased down a mountain by a grizzly bear. God only knows what if he'd have caught up with me. I can remember to this day looking at the thing, and that was 60 years ago. Oh dear! It is ready to pounce. That's for sure. But I've been shot at by the IRA. I've been threatened with bombings. I've been threatened with scalpings, with lynchings. I've run in Africa. I've run barriers across the road, which were illegally there, in the hope to be able to rob. And believe me, people right in the middle of Africa, right in the middle of the jungle, they don't ask twice. They don't ask twice whether, in fact, you want to be shot or not. They just do it and then take whatever you've got on you. And I hadn't got much on me at all. I learned never to carry much money when I was going. What is this time? It's 9:19. Oh dear. We are in a muck, aren't we? I was going to actually play you an episode of the bloody past of a tiny town, but because I had the problem with sound, I didn't have time to sort it out. So I can't. So you just have to put up with me. reminiscing just for a little while until John Henty gets here. And John will get here and will be full of his usual bon vivant, bonhomie, full of the joys of spring. What a revelation that man is. He's damn near 80. Damn near 90, and he still bounces around as if he's 20. Much more than I can anymore, I'm afraid. It's a fantastic man, and a great fan, great proponent of Max Miller, the comedian. You know, most of you will look and say, "Who's Max Miller?" Well, yeah, you should find out. He left a terrific heritage, absolutely terrific heritage. Half the stuff you see on television now would not be forthcoming if it wasn't for Max Miller leading the way. So let's say thank you to John and a few more stalwarts of stage, screen, and radio, and say thank you for keeping the memory and the experiences of Max Miller alive. There's going to be some sort of whoop-de-doo surrounding Max Miller come the autumn, and he's invited me, and I shall most certainly go if I can. I only say if I can, not because of availability, but I have Parkinson's. I have to use a mobility scooter to get from point A to point B, and when I cross the room, I totter. I totter. It's all a bit odd, a bit strange, but totter I do, and see, I'm not going to give up until it's only 22 minutes past 9. I'm not going to give up until 9:30, and then I will go and look for an episode of The Bloody Past of a Tiny Town. Now, for those people who aren't familiar with it, this is not some amateur thing. It's, we did a professional job, as indeed so we should. We're professionals. We did a professional job on an 8-part series made for the Together Channel. The Together Channel is a combination of the Community Channel and BBC, and shows programs which aren't quite ready for mainstream television, but good enough to show. And our 8-part series was shown on mainstream television, and it as the name suggests, it looks at the bloody side of Lewis, and it's some of the incidents, such as the Battle of Lewis, the burning of the martyrs, the peasants' revolt, you name it, some of the bloody aspects of this little town. So people can walk out of their homes and walk onto the high street and know that there are lots of bloody things have happened on this particular street. And we're playing it episode by episode now, as the week wears on, as the month wears on. It's amazing, isn't it? Where does time go? We were only just getting ready for Christmas a short while ago, and look at it now. We are on the verge of the middle of the second quarter. In other words, almost halfway through the year. How does that happen without us noticing? Gosh, I mean, I know I count off the days of how many mornings I miss getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and actually, the only mornings I miss, and even then I get up pretty early because it's in my soul. I only miss things like Christmas Day, uh, New Year's Day, and Easter, but that's all. I really don't miss much else. I can tell you what it's like at that hour of the morning. There are a lot of people who do the same thing, and the same people, because they're standing at the bus stop when I go by. I yell a cheery "Good morning," and most of them, not all, but most of them say "Good morning" back, and most of them, not all, make a comment about my hat. That's why I decided to stick with it. They like the color. Well, why not? Why not? And as the year goes by, I think, aren't I lucky? I've lasted for another year, even though I sometimes feel just a little bit like a punch bag. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Ah, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, Mirador goes on, and we've got some really first-class people, and we're trying to recruit some more. I mean, if you fancy sitting in front of a camera for an hour or two and spouting, please let us know. We want to give everybody who wants as much experience as they can, particularly if they're young. But young people don't seem to want to take any training anymore. They want to walk in and think that they know it all. Well, they don't. We are and going to get even better as a training establishment. So think twice about it. Either a second career, a second life, or if you're sitting around at home thinking, "Oh my God, I can't get a job," or not any job that turns me on. Monday to Friday, we're here from 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, we're here from 7 o'clock in the morning, actually. If you want to come and say, "Oi, I'd like to have a chat about getting into television as a career," we're very happy to do so. Do you know, I lift my feet. It's one of the things about Parkinson's is that your feet feel as if they got diver's boots on. Plod, plod, plod. It's amazing, absolutely astonishing. And ooh, 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 ooh. And what was the old saying? I'll pick them up, Lord. You put them down. Oh no, you put them up. You pick them up, Lord. I'll put them down. It's a real effort for me to pick up my feet, but not whatsoever to actually get them back onto the earth again. I've got some carers right now. They are charming. Not one of them is well. Yes, there's one of them who is well from Scotland. Is most of them are from Ghana, Nigeria, Taiwan. It's incredible where they're from. They are all charming, very well behaved people who want to help as much as they possibly can. But I'm not sure that they really make a great contribution, except, you don't realize when you live alone, and particularly in the older years, when your family have either dissipated to other parts of the world, or you've left home. It's just you can get a bit lonely. I mean, I love listening to myself pontificate. Ooh, you might have guessed that. I love it. But I do get tired of listening to myself because I don't have any good arguments. I don't have anybody saying, Keith, you absolute rubbish you're talking. Bugger off. I don't have anybody. And I know of a lot of people who lost their partner years ago who feel the same. So even though it's only for 5 minutes or so, these young people who come in may not be much coppers as carers, but what they are is they're articulate, they're able to speak clearly and put up a good argument. It's 9:30, by the way, for those people who worry about such things. And they indeed do fulfill an important function, a very important function. And long may they be there. The word carer covers a lot of ground, but they are there. They are provided by the state. Mind you, it's typical nanny state is, can I cook you anything? Well, yes, I got only I can only put microwave things in. Oh, thanks very much. I had my one microwave for the month, for the week. What I need is some fresh vegetables and fresh this and fresh that. Oh, can't do that. And they're not nasty about it at all. It's just that they are told that they can't do this and they can't do that and they can't do the other. So all they really do is they put in an appearance. My daughter phones from Northern Ireland about 2 or 3 times a week, and I, hello, darling, I haven't broken my neck yet. She wants reassurance that her old dad is still alive. And it's almost as if these carers are the same. I'm sticking my nose into the front door to make sure that you haven't fallen down and can't get up. Well, that's a useful function, but it shouldn't be the only one. It should not be the only one. A far more adept at things than that. Right, okay, you had enough of me. I know you had enough of me a long time ago. But what I'm going to do is I am going to I'm going to shut down for 5 minutes and then come back ready for Mr. Henty. And if I can find the episode that I wanted to play of a Tiny Town, I will. If not, you got to put up with my face again just for a little while. But before I go, let me remind you that coming up this month, the second Sunday in the month, is the Black Horse, and it's quiz night. There you go, the pub quiz, starting at 8 o'clock, costs £2 to enter, and apparently last March's pub quiz was one hell of a night. It was a fantastic night, really great fun. So if you want a Sunday night out, it's cheap, might even win something, but good fun. Good fun is the pub quiz at the Black Horse. And if you're more sedate, you want Sunday lunchtime from 12:30 onwards, no, 12 o'clock onwards, sorry. There we go. It's the Sunday roast. It is just an excellent roast. Plenty of it, good quality, well cooked. If I've got any criticism at all, it's that he doesn't heat the plates. it goes cold a bit faster than it should. That's the only criticism I have to make of the chef here. And Declan, in the way that he manages everybody in this pub, he does a magnificent job. So it is a true English pub. It's a pub. It's not a restaurant pretending to be a pub. It is a pub being a pub but serving food. So there you go. That's the stuff that you can get here at the Black Horse, and you can play toads and so on. Now, the World Championship was last night, I believe. I haven't actually got the, because Deck is a world champion toad man. He's not in today, and I don't blame him. I expect he's got a sore head, but he wasn't able to tell me whether who won, whether he won, whether his team won. They won last year. They did a tremendous job. But I've got a photograph of him, which I'll show later on when I can download it. He gave it to me yesterday, but just at the time as I was going on the air, and I wasn't able to download it. But we'll show it before the end of the week to show what a champion looks like. Right, yeah. Here we go.
From Lewis in the Black Horse